Hi, everybody, and I hope everyone's doing well. And I truly do. And thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel, I welcome you to subscribe and give it a thumbs up if you like the video, any of the videos. And of course, any comments or that kind of thing, let me know, and we can have dialogue and discussion with everybody. Um, and I love that sort of thing. So again, thank you for watching. So I wanted to do a quick video on the um, like paranormal videos. So I'm not talking about like Bigfoot or uh, Loch Ness monster, things that are allegedly real and physical. I mean like paranormal, spiritual energy or activity that gets caught on film. So I was, if you're new to my channel, it's about like spiritual, like existential knowledge and also spiritual knowledge and abilities and practicing these sorts of things to communicate and also understand how they work. So I was I watch TV with the with the angels all the time, and so we've watched over the years a lot of these videos, that say, oh, ghost caught on camera, or demon caught on camera, and or the chair moved and we don't know why, and there's like those kinds of things, and I always ask, hey, is this real? Is this real? And the answer is always no. And it's really funny. So after a while, I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, what's going on here? Like, um, and it's really funny because, like, when I watch these videos, some of them I'm like, well, okay, so that one looks real. Is that one real? And I'll ask, like, Michael the Archangel, for example, specifically, and he'll be like, no, this one's actually fake, and we can tell. And I was like, oh, no, okay. So, every video, there's not a single one. So what I did, I finally asked, I was like, you know what? Like, is there any, can you guys just check all the videos out there, pictures and everything? Like, has there ever been anything, as of right now, captured on film? And the answer was no. So, what it boils down to, and I'll explain the reasons behind it, which is pretty fascinating, and it makes perfect sense too. So, everything that is out there can either be, it's either something physical, but not anything that's been controlled by like the spiritual, anybody or anything in the spiritual realms at all. So there's actually, Earth is highly protected, and there's no allowed like negative energy to come here or make its way here or even manifest, and they have a hand in keeping that sort of thing away from here. Now, we can create energy purposefully or even accidentally sometimes, and this sort of thing can cause experiences and people to have spiritual experiences, and it's not a perfect process. So, and again, I'm not saying experiences anybody have had are not real or that sort of thing. I've had a lot of them too. But it's something that's managed to a high degree of accuracy, but it's not perfect. So, like, here's a great example. Like, if you sit here and if you picture an apple in your hand, you can stare at it and just picture it for 30, like 30 minutes if you want to, and just hold it in place. So, and then you can speak to an angel or something like that and say, hey, okay, now try and take it away from my hand. And they'll try, but you'll still see it there because your focus and your awareness and everything is holding it into place. Now, there's all sorts of like residual energy just flying around and interacting with each other, and a lot of this stuff just dissipates or goes away naturally on its own. So it really takes focus and purposeful creation and holding something in place to for something to last. So overall, so it's possible is what I'm saying. And a lot of the stuff like experiences, it's created accidentally through residual energy or energy interacting with each other. It's amazing how fluid this energy is sometimes. So in other words, demons and negative energy don't freely roam the earth. Not ones that come here from elsewhere or generated, like, believe it or not, like if you watch a scary movie and then you're like thinking about it, it could cause like energy to ripple off you and things like that. And, other people can sense it. So it can accidentally be activated this energy and come to life and just kind of go away on its own. So, but there's nothing, believe it or not, as we think about it traditionally. There's nothing from an outside source or anything like that trying to do damage or bother us or stuff like that. It's really all of our own making, literally, either accidentally or on purpose. So otherwise, there's a very strict set of rules that keep this place, all of Earth, as protected and free from that sort of thing as possible. But that doesn't make it impossible. So that being said, at least to date, so nothing has been captured on film. Anything where something's physically moving or it shows like orbs, which are actually a physical thing. And there's a very real explanation for that. Nothing spiritual or, like from the afterlife, that's occurring there. So in other words, everything we do see on camera is either going to be something that's naturally physically occurring, not completely spiritual in nature, and it's either misunderstood or not defined correctly, or it's something that's set up. It's something that's purposely set up to make a chair move or something like that. But there's always an explanation. Now, all the other videos that show like non-physical energy, like spirits and demons and stuff like that, it's either something like, could be something physical, like a blip in the camera or like a shadow or something like that gets misunderstood, or it's simply something that was put in there on purpose. So there has yet to be a single incident of that yet, so which I found interesting. But the reason behind that is so it's the nature of existence itself. So this is what I found probably like the most fascinating. So remember, when we die, so we have souls, of course, and they're non-physical. Our minds, our memory, our experience, that's what survives when we die, for all of us. And of course, we're physical now, and we have these bodies and everything. But it's everything that's non-physical about us, our minds, our knowledge, our experiences and memories, that's what survives and carries on. So we are still very much the same individual when we die. And in that respect, we lose our physical body. But important point is we're still ourselves, after we reawaken after death. So now, everything in the afterlife period, whether it's us, people that we know that have died and moved on, or crossed over, or angels, for example, or spiritual guides, are all made of purely non-physical energy. So now the simple fact is physical things, whether it's our own eyes or ears or it's a physical camera, cannot detect non-physical energy, period. And it's the same way the other way around. And I'll give you some examples here to kind of illustrate that. And that is why, like, things that are on camera, like a physical camera and a physical lens and physical frequencies, simply cannot record non-physical energy. It's just not possible. And so now we consist of both. We have and it's important to point this out too. So one of the fundamental truths of all physical material or energy is that it has a non-physical counterpart. So my hand, my hat, the air, everything that's physical has an exact non-physical counterpart existing in the exact same space. So we are two things at once. We are physical and non-physical. Now, non-physical energy does not necessarily need a counterpart. Like, our minds don't have a physical counterpart, and like spirits and that sort of thing are purely non-physical. But it's just a fact, the nature of existence. All things physical are also non-physical at the exact same time. And that's exactly how we can communicate and receive spiritual messages, or psychics can talk to, or anybody can receive spiritual information or have those sorts of experiences, is because we are, partly non-physical. So if angels could show up physically, or if our spirits were physical after we died, then um, it'd be easy. Our loved ones could just show up and start talking to us, and we can hear them loud and clear. Same with angels. It'd be easy. It'd be easy. Then, and it's not. And I've been practicing this sort of thing for years, and it's still, for some people, are really good at it, but I'm still getting good at it. So it's a skill. It's just that we don't use our non-physical senses. We're not really trained to growing up. Um, so that being said, like physical things, equipment, whether it's our eyes or cameras, cannot detect non-physical energy. For example, like when you're at a grocery store, and if there's someone, I don't recommend that you do this, but if there's someone standing in front of you, like if you go wave your hand in front of their face or you shout into their ear, they're going to notice you, right? So that's because their physical senses are picking up on what you're doing physically. Now, if you were to stand there behind them, if you were to imagine your hand, like imagine your hand just like super big in front of their face and just waving, like create the image with your mind and see if they pay attention or if they flinch or that sort of thing. Or create like a image of yourself, like just shouting as loud as it can into their ear, using your mind and everything. And they're not going to hear you because you're using your mind, which is non-physical in nature. So that's a perfect example right there. If it were physical, they could hear you pretty easily, if you shouted in their ear or went like this, for example. But if you use your mind to create the same experience, they're not going to notice a thing. Like, or if you're riding the bus, for example, just picture the whole bus pitch black and you can't see anybody. No one else is going to notice. It's not like you literally turned out the physical lights, but you can see it, and what you're creating is real. And that's a good example there of how, because what you're creating is very real, but it's non-physical, and people just aren't tuned into that realm of existence very often. We basically just read and hear music, and use our five senses and store them as memories. The only really non-physical sense we use on any given day is our hearing when we think, so we can hear thoughts inside our head. So that kind of points to how most people are kind of tuned out from that realm of existence. I mean, again, what you're creating is real, but no one else can notice it. In this, they are sensitive to non-physical energy through practice, or if they just naturally are sensitive to that sort of thing. So, same example, like no matter what physical cameras, they can't pick up energy from that is non-physical. So that's a good example right there. Same way the other way around. So that's what I was going to mention. This duality for us, like if we didn't have this non-physical duality, we wouldn't be able to have spiritual experiences or speak with angels or have psychics talk to our loved ones or that sort of thing, or receive messages, or signs or that sort of thing. For that same reason, because just like our physical things cannot pick up non-physical energy, same the other way around. They wouldn't even be able to see us or communicate with us or send us messages if we didn't have this fundamental physical / non-physical duality. So that's what they're seeing, is the non-physical portion of us, those that are in the afterlife, that sort of thing. So just to point that out. And then, so the other way around too, non-physical senses cannot detect physical energy. So your mind's a good example of that. And what I mean by that is, for example, when you read a book clearly, you see the words and then you memorize it. So then it becomes part of your mind and your soul and everything. So your senses, but your mind needs your energy, your physical equipment, in order to get that information. So in other words, non-physical senses cannot pick up physical things without having access to them. So if you shut your eyes, in other words, and you have a book in front of you, there's nothing to see or read or memorize. So you can't just read a book with your physical eyes closed. So your mind, in other words, your non-physical sense or senses, cannot just simply pick up on non-physical senses either. So it works both ways. So that is why, actually. So it's just literally impossible. Um, so for these sorts of things to be caught on film. And I found the underlying reasons in like laws and kind of rules um, fascinating as to why it works that way. So that is why, and at least to date so far, um, nothing. Nothing you see on YouTube, nothing that pictures are taken, anything like that. There's nothing yet valid that has been captured. Is it possible? Yes, but it's extremely rare, unlikely, and so far everything out there as far as evidence goes is either um, something physical occurring that has nothing to do with spiritual energy, and we're just misinterpreting it, or it's something that was doctored. It was created and meant to trick people or fool people or for whatever reason, have fun doing it or who knows. But so it's interesting. It kind of changed. Now when I watch those videos, I still watch them for fun, but I'm like, oh man, that's not even real. I'm going to still keep checking because there's a very small possibility that something may, cross that threshold between physical and non-physical and impact um, something that could be caught on film, but it's nothing that comes intentionally from the spiritual side of things. That's very highly protected and monitored and maintained. So, and it makes sense too. I mean, things just can't. There's a lot of rules and laws in place, even for us here. Like I can't use my mind to, to make my car go or to knock something over. So I can use my mind to control my own body and that sort of thing. Now, the possibility of mental energy or non-physical energy impacting something physical is actually real and true, and that's kind of the space where healing takes place. So this sort of thing, it's not impossible at all. Definitely not saying that. But there's a lot of rules and laws that kind of lock these things into place, and there's ways to study and experiment with them too. But overall, that's the nature of how things work, though. And that is why, at least so far, there is no spiritual, paranormal, anything that has been caught on film yet. So, I hope you found this interesting. I sure did. And I hope I said that all correctly. I wrote it down so I could try to understand it and hopefully share it clearly. But there you have it. And by the way, I mentioned like Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster and stuff earlier. That's a whole nother, I should do another video on that. So, kind of close the book on that, share my thoughts on that, I think. And I don't have a full answer yet, so I don't want to say anything. But anyways, thanks again for watching, and I do truly appreciate it. So do take care, and we'll see you in the next video.